So, team, welcome to ISTQB Foundation Level Certification Training. We are in day one. So, what we have completed was one orientation session sometime last week. So, the agenda for today is that I'll quickly recap of what we have discussed in the orientation session, followed by we'll start with the first chapter. There are about 6 chapters that we need to complete. So, for the overall course, I'll get started with the first chapter today, a little bit of it. So the orientation, what we have covered is that, so we have understood, I kind of just launched a poll understanding from the audiences that how many of you are familiar with the ISTQB, terminology and what it is stands for, uh, the examination structure and things like that. Except very few, most of the audiences said they are not really aware of, they heard about it but not much details about it. So we started from there. This was the agenda we discussed, introduction to ISTQB and the levels of examination, why the ISTQB certification is required, what are the benefits that the user will get it by going through certification, examination structure, the foundational level syllabus. That's what we are intended for, or the target of this course is for foundation level. So we kind of looked at the syllabus for this, and what are these K levels or cognitive levels, and the chapter wide questions. And we also understood like prospects of sorry, let me just correct one thing on the fly. Prospects of basically certifying the ISTQB. So what are the advantages someone gets a certification? So that's what we have discussed. And finally, the questions and answers that we have discussed. Okay, this was the agenda. We can't see. Uh, Team, hope you can hear me good and you can see that, right? Okay. How about it now, team? Can you see that? Okay, okay. Fine. Fine, thanks. So yeah, so quick agenda for today is that we wanted a quick recap of the orientation session, followed by we will start with the chapter one. Raki still can't see it now. Hope most of you can see. Otherwise, just quickly sign out and sign into the meeting. That will help you, Raki. Just quickly sign out and sign in. Whoever has this issue. Sonal, same thing. Probably. All right. So let's move ahead. So the agenda for today is that we will do a quick recap of the orientation that I have done on 25th of this month, followed by we'll start with the chapter one, that is the most and the first topic for the examination. So the agenda for the orientation that we have covered was to introduce what is an ISTQB and the levels of ISTQB, why the ISTQB certification is important, what are the benefits of the certification, examination structure, foundation level syllabus. There are different levels in the ISTQB, so the target for this course is that it's on the foundational level. It's also called CTFL, certification on foundation level. Then we understand what are the different K levels that we need to focus on, and the different chapter wide questions as part of the orientation we understood. We'll revisit that again. And what are the prospects of certifying the ISTQB certified professional? And then we have taken some Q&A questions, question and answers, right? So the introduction that we have given to ISTQB was that it is basically stands for International Software Testing Qualifications Board. That is what an ISTQB stands for. And there is a website called www.istqb.org. This is the primary source for all of us For any information related to ISTQB, you and me will be keep on visiting this website to get to know the latest status and anything that announcements from the ISTQB as such. What is an ISTQB? It's basically a non-profit association. It founded in 2002, headquartered in Belgium. It has its own constitution, rules, and regulations that we need to follow if we wanted to become a certified professional from ISTQB. It just started by a couple of volunteers who are international testing experts all over the world, and they are the prime whole and sole responsible for this certification program, which is ISTQB certifies tester. There are different levels, and they are the whole and sole responsible for this entire scheme worldwide. It's one of the leading organization for the software testing certifications. Is it the only organization? No, this is not the only organization. You might have heard about CST and other certifications, but ISTQB has its own value across the world. So their motto is that advancing the software testing profession is their organization motto. And what are the different levels of examination that they conduct in ISTQB? This is basically to help the people who miss the orientation. It will be a just quick recap for the folks who attended also. There are different levels in the examination. So to start with, the first one is a foundation level. It is also known as CTFL, followed by advanced level. It's known as CTAL, certification on advanced level. And the highest level is the expert level, which is also known as CTEL, certification in expert level. So when it comes to foundation level, the classic and the first one that they have started, which is even today, most of the people aspire, is the foundation, the big chunk of the foundation level, that is a foundation. That is what we are targeting in this course. But apart from foundation level, that is CTFL, within the CTFL, we have two other things also, specifically focusing on agile testing, that is agile tester certification. And there is another one called model based testing, so which they are planning to introduce in this year, 2015. It's called model based testing. So these three certifications are at foundational level. The foundation level original certification, followed by specifically focusing on agile testing and model based testing. Then at advanced level, so who can go for certification on the foundation level? We kind of understood in the orientation that that anybody can go for it who have 6 months or more experience in the professional. Even though they say 6 months of experience in the uh, software field, but it's not really mandatory. But if somebody understands the software development principles, how a software works, anybody can go write it. It could be a test engineer, it could be an analyst, it could be a test lead, it could be a test manager, or it could be a test architect. It could be not just from the test side. It could be any software professional can go write who is passionate about quality of the software. So anybody can write. It could be PM, it could be developer, it could be support engineer in the organization who supports a system, who wanted to be uh, fully taken care of the quality. They can go write it. So anybody can write the foundation level. When it comes to advanced level, it's targeted at certain levels, like test analyst, technical test analyst, like test architects. Nowadays you find this role in most of the organizations called test architects, who will be kind of involving at high level on the design aspects of the system, contributing to the development of the frameworks, deciding the tool to be used for the automation, things like that. So test analysts, test architects, and test managers, so those are the folks who being targeted in advanced level. When it comes to expert level, it's exclusively targeted again more strategic levels, like test management, who will take decisions on dynamic basis, day in and day out, on the managing the test team, how best they can manage the team, how best they can operate the team that they have within the test, and what kind of strategic decisions that they take on a day-to-day basis, depending on the situations, or depending on the kind of problems that they get it on their day-to-day activities. So it's targeted those folks, majorly test management, who will be the prime source or primarily responsible for improving the process in an organization. Every organization follows certain process, part of their software development for testing as such, but how best they can improve the process within the test, and assessing the test process and then improving it, and then building upon it and continuing the process so that they can give the quality product to the service owners or the project owners, etc. And who will be majorly developing the test automation frameworks, involves in test automation engineering activities, right from developing the automation, building a common framework, then using it across the board within the software development life cycle. So they are the one who will be targeted at advanced level, sorry, expert level. And of course the security test, basically who will be more focusing on security testing aspects of it. So these are the three levels. See, the focus that we are trying to make here is on the CTFL, the foundation level. Probably soon after this, we'll start with agile testing, model based testing, etc. So why ISTQB? As we said, it's international wide. It's recognized of their acquired competencies in and skills in software testing. So people who will go through the certification have been recognized internationally, worldwide, that okay, he or she has already acquired the required competencies and the skills in the field of software testing. So he or she is the best compared to a non-software, non-certified professional, right? And it also promising a higher level of reliability of the applications to the customer. For example, if I'm a customer, I wanted to get some product to be developed. There are two companies in the market, X and Y. I know the company X is all fully qualified professionals. The company X always hires or recruits only the qualified people in terms of their academic qualifications, followed by experience, followed by certifications in the quality. And on the other side, the company Y, they just recruits based on their academics or based on their skill level, not even focus on academics. So when if I'm in the place of customer, when I wanted to give a product to the company X and Y, if both of them are equally charging and equally providing the services, probably I would prefer company X over company Y, because company X has all fully qualified certified professionals who can basically, the company can promise me the high reliability of the product compared to the other company who are just qualified people, or a skill based people, compared to they have not really gone through any process or certification, etc. So it also kind of company wide, consulting companies with certified staff can offer higher level of services to the customer. This is the same inbuilt point that I covered in the explanation. Hiring preference for the certified candidate compared to non-certification candidates. So again, when it comes to the hiring process, companies would prefer somebody who is certified over non-certified if both of them are equally, good, equally having same knowledge, and probably a certified professional be offered with little more than a non-certified professional. Okay, and it's valid for the lifelong. So there's nothing to, you just do it when you have time, so that you are ensured for the rest of the life that ISTQB certified professional. Whereas other certification programs, for example, if you do any UFT latest, for example, you do a certification on the UFT 12, probably down the line 3 years or 4 years, you yourself feel that the certification is becoming obsolete because the new versions will come. Maybe down the line 2 or 3 years, UFT 15 might come, and then you yourself might wanted to go and reappear for the exam because there are a lot of changes from UFT 12 to UFT 15. But this certification foundational level is focusing on the foundations. The foundations will or basically will not change. Of course, advances will come, but the foundations are not going to change. So your certificate is valid for the lifelong, because you're not looking at any advanced level or expert level here, Probably those things might change, advancements might change, but the foundations are not going to change. So certification is valid for the lifeline. And the examination structure is something, it's all multiple choice questions. uh, you will get 40 questions, and each question carries 1 point, so there is no negative marking for any of the questions. The success criteria is that you should at least score 65%, so that means you should score 26 or more points. um, at least you should score 26 to get the certification. The duration of the exam is 60 minutes, which is like 1 hour, wherein you need to answer 40 questions. So I think it's equally good amount of time. The fees is different for different countries. So for US it's 250, around $250, and the India it's around 5,000 rupees. Um and it similarly it's on the same page, it's around other countries also. You can compare it like 200, 250 to $300 of US you can convert into other countries. You will get the fee structure. The foundation level content is something, this is what you need to be prepared, or this is what I'm going to cover in the course. To start with, we'll be starting today the fundamentals of testing. So there are about 6 chapters you need to learn. That's what we're going to do overall in this course. And at the end of every topic, every chapter, I will be conducting some mock test. Probably I'll open up a question bank wherein you will be answering them. I'll give some sufficient time, as if like you're writing an exam. Then I will wait for you guys to answer it, and then we'll discuss on the answers that are put up by the audiences, whether they are correct or not correct, and why. See, the you all know with the multiple choice questions, the everybody knows the answer, but putting the right answer within the right time is what is important for the exam. But if I give you a sufficient time, probably each question 10 minutes, then you will kind of go through each and every answer, and then probably you might arrive at the right answer. But how do you take it for within the given short amount of time, what you need to focus on? That's what you're going to learn the mock tests that we conduct at every chapter. Okay, so but otherwise, these what you can see highlighted in red color, the fundamentals of testing, testing throughout the software life cycle, the static techniques, testing design techniques, test management, and the tools supporting for the testing. These are the 6 different chapters that you need to be completely aware of it for going through foundational level certification. Of course, at each chapter there are some important things like why the testing is necessary. Probably that is what we will be understanding today at the end of this one. But otherwise, you need to know what is testing, what are the different principles of testing, psychology of testing, code of ethics, etc. There are things related to black box, white box, that we will be covering it under testing design techniques, which are again very important. You will be understanding the review process, inspections, and things like that in static techniques. Uh, and followed by, there are some test management activities like where do we manage our test cases, where do we manage our bugs, what kind of configuration tools that we will be using across the board in the organization. Followed by the tools, what kind of types of test tools available, which tool is effective, and then we'll try to introduce how you can introduce a new tool into an organization if you're responsible at that level. So those are the things that we will be understanding in 6 chapters. How the exam is structured is that they have categorized these 6 chapters questions into 4 different cognitive levels. They are called K levels or cognitive levels, uh, like K1, K2, K3, K4. In K1, all type of things that you need to remember, you need to remember them as it is. Then you would be based on your recognition and how you can recall certain topics and certain things, and then you answer. So basically, you need to remember certain things. You need to recognize certain, definitions or vocabulary that is used in software testing. So remember, recognize, and recall is the criteria for K1. For K2, you need to understand the scenario. You need to explain why it is like this. You should be able to give some good reasons, and you should be able to compare with another problem or statement that is going to be available for you. And you should be able to categorize, classify, give as much as examples. So that is of K2 type of questions. And in K3, you need to apply your knowledge. So you will gain some knowledge and that you need to apply. And then how you can apply and use those things in your day-to-day life cycle is what is being tested in K3. K4 is majorly on how you analyze a situation, how do you analyze a scenario, and then take it forward. So these are the four different levels which are called K levels, and the examination is focused on around these four levels. When it comes to the questions, how many questions we get it in each K level? K1 is where you need to remember, recognize, and recall. You have 20 questions, which is the major chunk. And K2 is where you will be able to, classify, categorize them, so that you have 12 questions. The apply as well as analyzing the scenarios, K3 and K4, you have 8 questions. So totally you have 40 questions. If we go chapter wise, we have chapter 1 to chapter 6, what we need to learn. In chapter 1, you have 7 questions. Chapter 2, you have 6. 3, you have 3 questions. Chapter 4 is a major one where you have 12 questions. 5 and 6 has 8 and 4 questions respectively. So in total again, which is 40 questions, right? And this just one of the job site, basically IT jobs watch.co.uk is the primary source for this one, from where I captured what is the prospects of certified ISTQB. It's checked from 2000, it analyzed from 2005 to close to 2015 uh, January, and this is the graph which shows how the people are preferring the ISTQB certifications by the companies, right? So this is what we have understood in the orientation, followed by I gave the references. The references is all about this website, www.istqb.org. This is where you can find the complete information about what is the different examinations that they are having, and there are frequently asked questions. First of all, if you want to understand what are these ISTQB levels, what is their mission, values, you can go through some brochures that they have, and you can find out your local board, the certification path, any news that's going to come up on the day-to-day basis or regular basis, that you can check it out. So there's a lot of glossary that involved through this exam, so you can download them. Like I kind of downloaded this one. This is the glossary PDF file where you find lots of information or lots of terminology that is used in ISTQB or in the field of software testing. So for us, everything, the primary source is this website. So you can do visit on this particular website to understand what is the latest information that is available. So any questions and answers, basically any questions, so that I can answer them before we start with the first topic today. Do you have any questions on the orientation itself, that what we kind of, this is a quick recap of what I covered it in the last orientation session. So people who could not attend the session, you can raise this time, ask some questions if you have, so that we can answer them before we start with the very first topic. So any questions, team? Even people who attended the orientation could not get time to ask any questions. It's your time now. Any question that you can think of related to ISTQB? Not something that you can generally find it on the internet, like your related center, or maybe a fee structure specific to your country or location. that you and me can find it over internet. But if you still have any problem, I can help you with that. But otherwise, general questions on the exam, syllabus, certification. How can I pay the fees for the training program? I think it is um, through, if I mean, nowadays it should be supporting the online, but it should be majorly through credit cards. If you have any credit card, that's the primary source for it for you to pay. No, sorry, for the training program. Okay, okay. Training program, just write an email to. I thought it's for the exam. Sorry. So anything that's related to the administration part of this course, just write to learn@itlearn.com or sales@itlearn.com. They will be helping you. Okay, so that's about the training program fees and all that. What kind of job you get after getting CTFL? Probably you wanted to say certification at foundation level. You will be getting the job as a test engineer, senior test engineer. Not just because of the certification you will get a test lead or anything, but even if you are already being working and you are moving to the next level, this will help you. So let me tell you, people who have even experience of up to 10 years, 12 years, so they would go and appear for this exam because it will add a value to their profile. So right from a beginner who have even officially they say 6 months of experience, but I have seen people, nobody mandates to check that. People who have 0 years to 10, 12 years of experience, they will go and appear for it. When is the exam? How soon we need to register? So I'll get back to you the next set of timelines that are available, but you can keep check it on the ISTQB website also. It will be basically every quarter they will conduct it. So there is some specific timelines. Unless and otherwise things have changed, it's not as per my knowledge. But I will let you know the next schedule that they have it for the exam. Okay, fine. So are the questions are same in Indian and US? Yes. What is, see, it's all about the same subject, right? So how does it is different from, it's a worldwide organization, it will be the same. Do we have to have an IT background for this course? So officially what they say, Namita, is like they say 6 months of experience, but it's not something that is mandate. So people who do not have any experience also will go and appear for the exam. Okay. Any other questions before we start the first chapter? My suggestion, yeah. So this is something that I wanted to address it anyway, Subhashri. So my suggestion is attending 1 hour of live webinar followed by at least 1.5 hours of preparation will help you to achieve the exam very easily or certification very easily. So you need to spend about 2 hours per day, 1 hour on live webinar whenever we have. I think I just put it alternatively for the sake of you guys so that you can, it's not that you just attend the webinar, close it and then reopen it on the next webinar. That's not the idea. The idea is that you would be able to spend, go through the video again, post the session, and then in the session I might be referring to different topics. So uh, of course we have all the Word documents that we have prepared for each chapter wise. That is your primary source. But otherwise you can also try and find out some more information over the internet. You should spend at least uh, about another 1.5 hours from your side for the preparation. Then you can appear for the exam well. Are you going to form a group? That is also a good idea that I have not thought of it. So definitely I can put this across. Previously also when they trained it for ISTQB, they have not done that. But I see you guys have an advantage of doing that as a live projects when you do QA live project or Selenium and UFT live project. I understand from that perspective you have definitely benefits out of it. I will put this across and then try to form, yes, at least one or two groups based on the strength that is available. But this is more of like this. First of all, you all have to go through at least half of the live trainings, and then you should have started preparing for the different topics and content. Then it makes sense to form a group and do a quick discussion of certain topics or certain points that we have discussed throughout the course. So yes, I'll think about this and get back to you, Vidya. I think that's a good point, forming the groups and kind of making you to study. Because I agree, this is kind of theoretical, especially when we only when we go to some examples like white box testing and all, it will be little bit of small programming snippets and all, but otherwise mostly it's a theoretical subject. So if you try to study as an individual, probably you might end up getting bored. So if you do a group study, that might help you. I'll get back to you on that. Fine. So if you do not have any questions, let me start with the first chapter. That's the one that we want to start today. Hope you all can see this Word document. Right, I switched from the slide to the Word document. The first topic that we're going to start today is on the fundamentals of testing. I'm sure some of you who might have attended the manual testing courses anywhere, it could be IT Learn or anywhere, you might have understood some of these topics. So, but don't just get carried away by that, no, I already know this one or something like that. This is something that we are trying to prepare specifically for a certification or particular exam. So let's try to refocus on them. And these contents have been prepared specific to the ISTQB purpose. So better utilize and focus more on the topics that we are going to learn it through. So you all know, okay, Shankar, should just you tell me your convenient time to discuss about courses. Sure. So post the session, I will have about 10 to 15 minutes of time. You can catch me up immediately through emails if you required, and I'll be able to reply. But otherwise, we can, if required, we can have a one-on-one call also on the Skype if that is really required. Okay. Post the session, I will have 15 to 20 minutes of time. Okay. So let's get started with the very first one, the fundamentals of software testing. First of all, what is software testing? So typically, you can categorize a software as a different, different forms of softwares. Like you have an application software, which is basically some kind of an application developed in some technology. Don't worry about the technology, whether it is developed in C or C++ or Java. That's not our intent. But there is some application which is used by our customers for certain business purpose, right? So apart from application, you can give many examples of kind of an application. For example, you have developed a sales management system. Your company is developing some enterprise resource planning system or a sales management system for a particular customer who does certain sales of certain items that he or she manufactures in their organization, right? So that is an application specifically designed for a client. The same application may or may not be used by other clients, so it is very specific to that client, because the requirements of that client are very specific. So the client goes to some software company, explains his requirement, and the software company develops the uh, application to that particular client. It's used only by that client. So that is what we call it as application software, right? Apart from application software, we have softwares which are also called products. So I'll just try to uh, write this so that you can also see them. So one thing we said is application software. very specific to one client or customer. Okay, it may or may not be used by other clients or customers. The other type of things that we have is the products. So what are products? These are generic solutions to all customers, which can be basically any customer can use it. What are some of the examples of products? For example, MS Office, or this notepad itself, right? Or this go-to meeting that we all join. This is a product basically where anybody can use it who have a basic common requirement, that for example two or more folks wanted to join online and have some sessions or meetings, they can use GoToMeeting. Or they wanted to do some presentations, they can go to PowerPoint presentations, which is a part of the MS Office product, right? So that is what is a product. Product is a very generic solution that anybody can use it. Apart from these, nowadays you will see lot of applications on mobile. So you have mobile applications. Again, a similar common application that a mobile user can use it on their smart mobiles, maybe for booking certain tickets, making certain payments, or just getting out the latest news or weathercast or weather forecast on the particular area. So you have so many mobile applications that are used day on day out as part of your day-to-day lives, right? So we have some mobile applications. Similarly, those mobile applications, or it could be anything that's related to your tablet or smart PCs, like that. So these are the different categories of softwares that you come across in your day-to-day life. And typically, when it comes to these application softwares or products, mostly could be in the form of web applications. Some of them could be on Windows applications. So web applications are something that you just browse on any web browser that is targeted where the application is going to work. It could be your Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, different browsers. A Windows application is where you will install that application on your Windows operating system or any other operating system, and then you try to use that particular software. So these are the different forms of them. The mobile applications and all, you all know, you'll just go to your store, whether it is an Android or Windows operating system, go to the store, download the application, then you start using it. So these are the different forms of software that we are all using in our day-to-day lives. Now, from those applications point of view, I want you to see. I'll raise a question. I want you to think about them and then give the answers. That's the way you and me can make this session more interactive. Don't think that this guy will keep questions to us rather than explaining it just the topic and all. I can go on explaining, but that's not going to add value much to the kind of way that we wanted to achieve the certification. So now from these kind of applications, just think about it, why the software testing is necessary. Or before even that, let me just quickly define what is testing is all about. So testing for all these applications is to identify, let's not let's put very generic terms that you and me are aware of it, and then we'll go into specific of these terminologies little later. So identifying the problems, somebody can say problem, some of you might say there are some errors in it, or some of you might say there are some people who have already have some knowledge might say bugs, somebody might even say defects, right? So you'll come to know all these in a short while. What are the difference in all of them? Somebody might say defects, somebody might say issues. Yeah, there are different terminology people will use. Identify the problems, errors, bugs, defects, issues. Any other things? Faults. Okay, somebody is saying faults in the software. in the software. So identifying the problems or errors or bugs or defects or issues or faults in the software. What is software? These are the different forms of software we have discussed. Now identifying the problems is the job of, yeah, mistakes. Somebody say mistakes. Just keep throwing them, then we'll be able to differentiate what they are. So that is the main purpose of software testing professionals job as such, right? So as a software testing professional, your job is to identify these different things within the software, uh, so that when you eliminate all that, the software works as expected, and that is what the customers are expected to use it, which is called a quality software. But think about the other way. What if these are all left out like that? What if the problems are as it is being sent to the customer? Or what if there are some issues in the software that we are using it? Or if there are some mistakes that are produced within the software? What kind of consequences that we get? So, okay, quality problems is a very, very, what I can say is very high level way of saying it. Yes, quality problems, but think that, very go like a layman. If I don't understand anything about quality, if I don't understand anything about software, think like a layman. What kind of problems? Customer will not be satisfied and product will fail. Okay, customer will not be satisfied is the end result, and the immediate result is that software will fail. Okay, that is the first thing that we noted down. If we put all these as it is, software will fail, and the consequences of that is that customer will not be satisfied. Not only customer will satisfied, he will get into many other problems or issues. Let's discuss some of the, yeah, business reputation, things like that. For example, let's say you are using some application software, or a mobile application or a tablet or a smart PC application. For example, it could be something related to an internet banking application. I don't want to name any bank name, but just think like this. You are using some internet banking application and you are trying to transfer some X amount of money. Could be in dollars, INR, whatever the currency it is. You're trying to transfer some X amount to from your account to one of your friend account, and for that you are using an online banking application or a mobile application. You logged in, you initiated the transfer, and in the middle of the transfer, let's say you are experiencing some problem. You don't know what happened. I mean, it's reached to the last step or the final step, and after that there is no confirmation for you whether really the amount is being transferred to your friend account or not. For certain time you will be in a very dilemma, you'll be in a very bad situation, whether you don't know the end result, what happened, right? Unless again you log out and log in back and check your account balance, that hey, the amount is debited from my account, then you'll be a little bit more scared, because the transaction was failed in between or not really successful with a proper message and all, but now the amount is debited from my account. Now unless you talk to a friend or confirm with your friend that the amount is being credited to his or her account, you will be in a very pathetic situation. So that is what a customer will end up getting, the a bad reputation, or kind of situation there. That is okay. Money related, financial related can always get back. What will happen in that situation where money got debited from your account but it's not credited to your account, is that you will have to go raise a complaint with the corresponding bank. They will verify the transaction, and then probably they come back to you and applies, hey, this was a situation, the transaction got unsuccessful, but we'll revert your money back into your account. Something like that will happen in a 1 or 2 working days, and you will get money back in current situations where you all have experienced that. But first time, if somebody is experiencing, unless that there's no trace back on their own, if what are the transactions failed and passed, then you will end up in a very pathetic situation. So that is still okay. Money related is still okay. But think about a situation where do you think the most risk is involved? I agree, this is no doubt, it is also one of the risky application. But where do you think yeah, anything that is related to healthcare, right? Anything that is related to healthcare, nation security. Nation security is definitely super important, but at the end of the day, what is the most important is a human life. Think about any hospital related application, healthcare related application, where a doctor diagnoses certain disease of a particular patient, and think about that software which is performing the diagnosis. Nowadays all hospitalized or basically are computerized. It's through computer software, right? So think about if there is a problem there in the software that they are using it, so it will give a wrong results, diagnosis results, based on which the doctor prescribes, and that is totally something wrong or against the real condition of a patient, that will actually cause the life of a person, right? So that is the most critical, the most important. That's why healthcare domain, they will focus very much on the testing. I'm not saying that financial applications are not focused, they are also focused very important on the software testing, but the most critical ones are the healthcare domains, followed by definitely the nationwide security related applications, any defense related applications. They will ensure the utmost security, followed by all your banking, financial, insurance sectors. They will focus on very much, as the software testing is concerned, the level of testing that they do. See, the levels of testing that we do on these different applications is different. What do you think is the least critical application? Probably it could be some small gaming application or an online game that small kids will go and play it on the internet or on a mobile. Probably the least important one, right? Not able to hear me. Is it the case with everyone? Is audio clear? Raki, again, probably sign out and sign in should help you, because I think rest of the folks are hearing me, right? Yeah, it's clear. So just Raki, please sign out and sign in. Okay. So the least focused one is something like it could be an online gaming application, or of course, there also, if you are a true game lover, probably you'll actually feel bad when certain game is not working as expected. But compared to these healthcare, financial sector of applications and other stuff, that goes as a least risk, the lowest level of risk application, right? So now, considering all that, so let's try to understand all these things. So these are some of the, so to understand why testing is necessary, we have just put some classic applications, wherein you will understand the different functional, or security related problems that have arisen. The first example, if you look at it, the first launch of the European Space Agency Ariane 5 rocket in June 1996 failed after 37 and a half seconds. As soon as it got launched, within 37 and a half seconds, it got failed, and that resulted in definitely the problems in terms of the money, the reputation, so much of things. And the reason for that is a software error that is caused to the rocket to deviate, basically. So there is a software that is used, and that is not worked as expected. It has to give certain directions within the stipulated amount of time, as it, that's why we keep saying this terminology when we are actually working in software industry. When things are not so critical, we'll say this is not a rocket science, so don't worry too much on that, because these rocket science applications are expected to work 100% on time. Within the few seconds, deviations also will result so much of problems. So it has to work 100% without deviation. So there was a deviation in the software that is used, and that resulted in the rocket to fail within 37 and a half seconds as soon as it got launched. What was the reason? It was a functional defect. There was a software and there was a functional defect or a functional bug, and that created all this problem. The other thing is, like, when the UK government introduced online filing of the tax returns. Nowadays, in almost all the countries, we have this facility, but we're talking about a situation way back when UK got introduced this online filing of the tax returns. User could see the amount that a previous user earned. So this is one of the common problem that happens in most of the web applications, where the software testers have to be very careful. Is that web applications have one of the component or one of the feature called caching. And if the cache has advantages and disadvantages. If the cache is not handled properly, if they are not refreshing the page every time when somebody goes to new registration form or new form that they are filling up, there were chances, if the application is not tested well, there is a chance that you will see the previous person's details, previous person's information. And what is the problem with that? The risk is that it is exposing the sensitive data. You're actually seeing the previous person's salary details, his the account number details, and so much of information. When they're filing the tax, they will give all those details, and you're able to see all the sensitive data of a previous customer who have used that UK government's online filing tax return software. So that's again the risk, is that exposing the sensitive data, which is a security kind of problem. In November 2005, information on the UK's top 10 wanted criminals was displayed on a website. So when they have given this information, top 10 wanted criminals information on one of the website, people were very eager. They all wanted to see that information, who are those top 10 criminals and all that. Everybody started browsing to that website. The performance of the website proved to be inadequate, and the system crashed, or it took offline as soon as it got launched. It is a pretty much same case when there is a online, nowadays you see a lot of e-commerce applications provide a lot of promotions, offers, which last for only a day or two. I don't know how many of you remember this recent Flipkart's 1 million transaction that they wanted to do some time back. So those are some of those good examples where as soon as the website is open, people browse to it, they try to make the use of that particular offer that the company is trying to make, and try to book, or order certain things, which will actually result in the performance issues, where it might crash, the server system might go down or go offline for a long time. The biggest problem with that is again the reputation. As you all said, the business reputation, the company reputation will go down. And the other example, security related one, is that a well-known online book retailer first went live ordering a negative number of books. Basically, it means that the transaction sum involved was refunded to the purchaser. Basically, it went in negative numbers, so somebody can order -1 quantity, -2 quantity, something like that. So these are some of these examples, but as I already started with it, these are all still okay, except the first one is definitely the most critical one in terms of the risk. The second, third, fourth examples are kind of okay. They can fix those problems as soon as possible. They can get it back. Of course, there is a bad reputation on the companies, but think about a healthcare application, right? So that will definitely cause the life of a person, which is much more highly involved in risk compared to the other examples. What was the result of on all these things? Result of loss of money, time, as you all said, business reputation, and may even result in injury or death in case of the first example. Even that is most important, because again, that involves the life of a person, right? Okay, what are the reasons? What could be the reasons for all these things to go failure, right? So the reasons are that typically a software goes through a life cycle, which is we call it a software development life cycle. If I just put the important phases of a software development life cycle, every software will have a requirements phase, followed by a design phase, then you have coding or build phase, and after that you go deploy, and then there is a maintenance phase, or rather I would say deployment, and finally maintenance. Of course of course, one of the important thing after the coding is that testing phase. So these are some of the important phases of your software development lifecycle: requirements, design, coding, testing, deployment, maintenance. Think for a minute, the testing phase was not there at that time. That's how the testing got introduced. So they had directly the coding phase and followed by some basic verification and then deployment and maintenance. Now, the reasons for all these things is that errors in the specification. When somebody writes the requirements for that particular project, what we wanted to develop, in that we have some problem. The requirements have been not captured well. Okay, the requirements have not articulated very well as what customer is looking for or as what application is expected to be. Or it could be that the design problem. So the requirements, basically it's done by the PM, or nowadays the product owner. If you are working with some agile methodology, it's called product owner. So they will be the one who will be coming up with what is the requirements of the software. So they have done their good job, but the people who design the system, there is a failure. So the problem is in the design. It could be on the design, or it could be, requirements are captured well, design is perfectly all right, but the people who are writing the code, the developers, have done the mistake. They have not understood the design correctly, or they have not understood the requirements correctly. So they have done the mistake. So the problem is in the implementation of the software, the coding or implementation of the software. So any of these reasons can actually create the problems that we have discussed. It could be the errors in the use of the system. Sometimes it can also be happen that there is no proper user training. We have developed the software, but there is no proper training to the end users who will be using the software, and because of that, the end users are not correctly using the system, and they are actually creating all these problems. The software is working as expected, but the end users have not been provided with the proper training how to use the software. That is creating a problem. It could be that the environmental conditions, right, the environments in which we operate this software, that could be that. And it could be the intentional damage. It could be that there are some hackers who are consistently trying to hack your systems, because yours is one of the repeated software or repeated product in that particular field, and there are somebody who is trying to intentionally damage your software, and because your system does not provide a proper security, and that can, so it is because of lack of security for your software that could create a problem. So it could be that potential sequences of earlier errors, intentional damage, or there are some failures in your software, or there are some defects in your software. So these are all some of the reasons that why the softwares fail and what kind of result it can create when the things are failing. So the result of all this is that we are going to understand some of the terminologies which are called, as you all said, when I wanted to write this statement, what is the idea behind software testing, or what is the purpose of software testing? You all said there are different terminologies like faults, bugs, defects, and all that. So let me define these things the way it is expected out of the vocabulary of ISTQB. So if someone makes an error or a mistake in using the software, this may lead directly to a problem. And the software is used incorrectly, and it is not going to behave as expected. Like as I said, if the user training is not proper, he will do the mistakes, or basically he will makes an error in or mistakes in using the software. Even that is also a problem, right? So with that, we can talk about what is an error. A synonym for that is a mistake, right? You all said, as one of somebody said error, somebody said mistake. So let's try to define what is an error or a mistake. Basically, it is defined as a human action that produces an incorrect result. Some human being does an operation or something, or some action that is going to perform on the software, which is going to create an incorrect result. We can give many number of examples. Like for example, there is where if somebody is trying to book a tickets, and the intended number of tickets that the customer is expected to book is like, maximum of 10 tickets. uh, yeah, I will be sharing all these word documents with you post the session, so it will be your primary reference, Rocky. Apart from that, you can refer to many other books. The problem with the books is that there is no prescribed book from ISTQB as such, but you can go through books like you know effective methods of software testing, fundamentals of software testing. So there are many books available. You can go through them, but will be your primary document. So while using a software, the end user is not using it correctly, or he is actually entering some incorrect information, and because of that, the end result will be incorrect. But you might have a question like, even if somebody is trying to enter some negative number or incorrect number of tickets, the software should take care of it, and it should throw proper message. That is what the ideal software should do, and that's what we all software testers are expected to test it in such a way that even if the user is let us consider the user as a very dumb user, we should all take care of that point. The final user of this software is going to be very dumb user. He can enter any number. It could be a negative number for ordering, it could be a number that is more than what is system expected, less than what is system expected. Still, our software should take the request properly and give the proper response to the customer. Hey, this is not a valid number or a quantity that you can order. The valid quantity is between 1 to 10. So but the problem here is that the human being is doing a mistake, and that is called error. Okay. And how can we define a risk? It is a factor that could result in future negative consequences, usually expressed as impact and likelihood. When somebody does something, error or a mistake, or when the software does not work properly, what kind of risk it can involve? What are the future negative consequences of that particular actions taken by the user? That is called risk. So not all softwares will carry same risk. As we said, a simple online gaming application could be a less risk application compared to a rocket science application, which is highly risk involved. Healthcare applications are highly risk involved. So a risk is another terminology that you all have to understand and remember. Then we also use something called defect, which is again the synonym is called bug or fault. People generally use these two synonyms for defect, bug or fault. Basically, how we can define it is it's a flaw in the component or a system that can cause the system to fail or perform the required operation. For example, the system is not handling the intended expected number of quantity, that is 1 to 10, and there is actually a defect in the system. Because of that, when some user knowingly or unknowingly enters a negative number or a number of quantity that is more than expected by the system is not handled that, and it is giving an incorrect result or incorrect functionality, right? For example, there is an incorrect statement of data definition or incorrect statement of reports. That is what we call it as a defect. A defect, if encountered during the execution, it may cause a failure. It might crash the system. It might make the system to fail, or that particular functionality to fail. Okay, so that is what is called defect. And also another terminology called failure. Failure is something, it's a deviation of the component or system from its expected delivery or a service or a result. When the software is expected to work in certain fashion, it is deviating from that particular expected behavior. That is what is called failure. Okay. So executing the tests help us to improve the quality of the product and service. But that has one of the verification and validation methods applied to products. We need to uh, do a proper verification, validation of the software to eliminate all these failures of the system. So and people who involve that, they follow certain process, and if you are following the process or not, there is an audit that will happen to check internally in the company, maybe on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, to check whether you are really following the process or not, and that is called audit. Okay, so these are some of the terminologies that you're going to understand and remember, like what is an error or a mistake, what is a risk, Defect, again the synonyms for this is the bug or a fault. What is a failure and what is mean by an audit. So typically, as we said, error is a human action that produces an incorrect result. That will result, so somebody does some mistake while coding or while designing the system or while capturing the requirements of the system. He does a mistake, and that will create a defect in the software. And what we said is a defect is nothing but some kind of a fault or a bug in the system that will result in the unexpected behavior of the system. It's not going to work as expected, and that is a failure of the system. Okay, so this is the sequence flow. Somebody does a mistake, and that will result in a defect, and that will result in overall failure of the system. Okay, so let's park up to here. What we have understood, we just started with it the first chapter today, where we have started understanding the fundamentals of testing. And a lot more things we'll be discussing as part of the chapter one. Probably the next session is when I will be completing this, and post that I will try to conduct a mock test. So the idea is that you have 1 day gap in every session, so spend some time going through these things. These are all some of the vocabulary that you have to remember. Remember that the K1 type of questions, remember as it is, that kind of a question. So it goes under that, and there will be some type of questions where you need to apply your knowledge based on what you have learned on the scenario or situation given to you. So any questions, team, until now what we have discussed? We'll continue in the next session with the remaining topics of chapter 1. So for any other information, just go through istqb.org, post the sessions. But yes, I will be sharing these documents, any PPTs that I have, and there are a lot of PDFs, questions that I have. I will be sharing you all that with you guys. Okay. So what is the difference between a bug and a defect, right? So one thing that you can see here, I'm using the um a synonym for it, but you can also call it as a bug is something, any programming error, any error or any programming error specifically, we call it as a defect. Sorry, bug. Any programming error, we call it as a bug. But any defect is something that is deviating from an expected behavior. For example, when I click on certain report, this report is expected to generate the information in certain behavior, and that is not the case. The report is incorrect because the application behavior is not working fine. I'm looking for a weekly data, but let's say the report is giving me daily data or monthly data. Okay, so that is something you can call it as a defect. A deviation from the expected behavior is called defect, and typically any programming error we call it as bug. How could we get the documents after the class? So what will happen? We will be creating one Google Drive folder for you guys, and I will be putting all these documents and PPTs in that, and we'll share it with you guys. It's a couple of hours from now, like 3 to 4 hours from now. I will be sharing these documents, and you will be receiving it. Is that fine, Vibhu? What is the difference between the bug and defect? Okay. So any programming error, you can call it as a bug. Any deviation from the expected behavior, you can call it as defect. Okay, fine. So with that, let's park it for today, and then we'll continue in the next session. So thank you, team.